Backlinking for lawyers, okay? How to supercharge your local SEO with a simple strategy called local backlinking, okay? One of the biggest things that contribute to whether or not your law firm's website is going to rank in a competitive market is your domain authority, okay? Now, the number one thing that contributes to domain authority and page ranking is your link building strategy. So backlinking is very important for lawyers, especially if you're going after short keyword phrases like divorce lawyer or injury lawyer or accident attorney, because the first page of Google is inundated with AVO, super lawyers, Legal Match, a lot of these big lead aggregators that aggregate potential clients, they have very high domain authorities. So, for example, avo.com's domain authority is going to be very high, probably, I don't know. I've never looked at it, but maybe it's 70, right? Domain authority out of 100. So, when you're competing against a website that has that high of a domain authority, it's going to be really hard for you to rank on the first page of Google, unless you have a backlinking strategy that can show Google that in the local market that you're marketing within, you're more relevant than AVO, for example. Okay, you're more relevant than AVO because you're more present in the local market. So for example, let's say you target Chicago. Local backlinking means finding, for example, you can find like local sports organizations. You can find pages that you could get links to from .edu websites, like local universities in your market, that show that you are a credible law firm within the Chicago DMA or metro area. And Google's algorithm will factor that local backlink, even though the domain authority of your website may only be 25, let's say. AVO is 70. They know AVO is a national site. So what Google's going to do is they're going to show the website that they think is going to be of the most value to the user. So if they notice that your website is more reputable in that local market, even though it's just the word divorce lawyer near me or whatever that someone types in, there's a chance they can show your website ahead of AVO. Now, obviously, you have to have the right blogging strategy. You have to have the right, load speed on your website. You should be using AMP pages for mobile. I'm assuming your website is technically set up properly. If it's not, then your backlinking is not going to have as big of an impact on your rankings via local SEO. So, local SEO, the strategy that I would recommend you follow. Now, I hope you wouldn't be the one doing this work, but someone on your law firm's team would be reaching out to local organizations, like I said, sport organization, local university, anything that has a big presence in your local market. And you could either do one or two things. You can actually buy a placement on like a local sports club's website as like a sponsorship for a couple $100s a month in exchange for a link from that website back to your website. On a university site, for example, like a .edu site, which is very valuable because that's a high domain authority URL typically, you can offer to do what's called a guest blog post. A guest post is where you write a blog on, something on the topic of legal, right? It can be very zoomed out, just something legal related or law firm related or your practice area related. You offer, obviously you'd want to talk to whoever manages putting the content on the .edu's website. It can be a division of a university. And you would tell them, hey, I'll write the content for free, and then it'll be a guest post. All I want you to do is mention that, hey, the author of this blog post is attorney XYZ, and here's a link to their website. Just doing that one action. Now, it takes a couple months for Google to pick up on, the high domain authority from that action, but as soon as it does, if you have the right keywords on your website, it will supercharge your SEO. So that's one thing that I wanted to say. Another thing is you need to be aware of the fact that Google is trying to get away. So I'm being a little counterintuitive here, but Google is getting away from allowing people to pay for backlinks. So there's a lot of services out there where you can just pay money, a couple $1,000, and get a really quality backlink and do no work for it. Google is trying their best to make backlinks authentic so that people keep putting out very high quality content, right? If you put out everything you need to know about having a car accident in Chicago and it's 40 pages long and it is really valuable to people, then Google believes that piece of content you created is going to naturally be mentioned by other people online, by that .edu website or by other websites locally. So be aware that if you're paying for backlinks right now, brainlessly, you need to be more strategic than that, because in the next 2 years or so, that may be completely impossible. So just explaining kind of what is on the burners with Google regarding local backlinks for your law firm. The number one rule to follow is to create the best, most relevant, and timely content you possibly can so that people naturally want to share it on social media and other sources. So the two specific methods I'm talking about here in backlinking is finding local organizations in your market that have credibility, so that you can beat the big lead aggregators via your SEO, and you can also beat your competitors in Google Maps if you have a higher domain authority than them. So I hope this was helpful. Just one quick strategy: doing local backlinks, outreach to local organizations, can make a disruptive impact on where your website ranks online. So if this was helpful, let me know in the comments or by subscribing to get more valuable content like this in the future. Thanks.